700 horsepower, 640 pound-feet of torque, absolute performance monster. Hence the name Raptor. It's quite interesting to consider the automotive scene as we head into an electrified age. It is very interesting to put in its place a vehicle like the one I'm driving right now, the Ford F-150 Raptor R. This is a truck. Trucks are usable items. It's been a very long time since the truck was simply utilitarian. The truck has become, for many people in the country, the family car. This is a big, smooth, quiet, four-door car with seats for comfortably 5, and a big load space in the back, and something slightly different because most pickups don't come with a choice of exhaust notes. We're now traveling in quiet. And then there's normal, which is slightly throatier. Then there's sport. And in sport, you suddenly realize what this vehicle is, which is a 700 horsepower, 640 pound-feet of torque, absolute performance monster. Hence the name Raptor. It's an easy vehicle with which to surpass posted speed limits, but again, that's not sort of the point. But I guess what is the point of this new breed of high-performance trucks? This and the Ram TRX, which I've already driven here in the Audrain Museum Network, and you can watch that video here, are vehicles with the performance capabilities that would only be dreamt of in cars not that long ago. And again, as we think about the electrification, which is rapidly spreading across the industry, what is the place for a big V8 like this with this kind of power on this kind of chassis? Well, there's certainly a market for it, because otherwise Ford and Stellantis would not build these vehicles. And also to be added to this mix has to be considered perhaps the successor of these behemoths, the Hummer EV, which we've also driven here on the Audrain Museum Network. The Hummer feels like a completely different kind of vehicle than this or the TRX. And this vehicle, and I keep saying vehicle because it is a truck. It is a truck, but the word truck just doesn't come off my lips very easily when you're riding in something so comfortable, so well finished inside, so bountifully equipped with all sorts of features that are commonly only found on luxury cars or sports cars or luxury sports cars. So it's something that I can't say that I really understand, but I get it, if that makes any sense. This is something that gives you a level of performance hard to imagine in most cars, and usable in a way which is very surprising, because much like the Dodge Demon, which is the modern incarnation of a muscle car, but it's a muscle car that has attention to noise, vibration, and harshness that could only have been dreamed of in the 1960s or 70s. The same is true with this F-150. I think that with the exception of the very throaty exhaust note, this ride in the quiet would have been welcomed in a Galaxy 500 back in the 1960s. And that's one of the things that makes it both very easy to live with and also slightly strange. Because unlike its namesake, the performance part of the Raptor is very easy to understand, but it has a certain very definite fist and a very thick velvet glove about it, which makes it really interesting. And I guess that's why this truck could be used on an everyday basis without exploiting anywhere near its performance capabilities, and still be a very usable and enjoyable truck that just has some really aggressive tires, these 37-inch tires, which, by the way, gives it an additional inch of ground clearance over the regular F-150 Raptor. And it's also got a Baja mode, and I wonder how many of these vehicles will be taken off-road to really seriously try their capabilities in that setting. But it might be interesting to know. But around here on the roads, you get all the power you need on the highways, and yet here, trundling along at 35 miles per hour, it's smooth and quiet. It is really, really, really an interesting complex of characteristics. And it also is not surprising, of course, that the F-150 has been and remains the top-selling vehicle in the United States now for many, many, many decades. And it's definitely, Ford is the market leader that everyone else is targeting. Now, it also brings to mind, where does the pickup truck go from here? I've driven on the Audrain Museum Network, the F-150 Lightning, and really, with the exception of the sound, feels very much like this. The power delivery is certainly different. The Lightning's power delivery is a bit smoother from low speeds, but it cannot match that kick in the back you get on kickdown in this. A 10-speed automatic transmission also gives you gas mileage that you could not believe possible in a car with this performance car. I'm gonna lose my job. In a truck, keep saying truck, Donald, keep saying truck. In a truck of this performance capability, and I think that's one of the reasons why there is such appeal in this. Now, it also can tow 8,000 pounds, which is not inconsiderable, but that's one of the penalties that you pay for the performance. The standard F-150 quad cab can tow 13,000 pounds with the V6 engine, and so this is not really designed to be the basic workhorse, but if it has to work for a living, it can. It's, I guess, sort of like a really well-bred second-generation Air. You know, it's likes to have fun, likes not to take things too seriously, but if it has to work, it can. The number of assists that this truck has is also quite remarkable. When you're trailering, you actually have a trailer whip assist to help balance the truck and the trailer, which is quite remarkable. And of course, all the normal things, the lane departure, blind spot, all those things we take for granted in cars are extremely useful here in a vehicle like this. There's also the different performance modes, wherein the shock absorbers, the exhaust system, the steering, everything can be adjusted for your needs. Right now in sport mode, I've got the adjustable shocks in their tightest and most responsive position. If I switch back to quiet mode, it's astonishing. It literally almost feels as if we're in an electric vehicle. This is so incredibly refined. Now, of course, the other hint that you're in a high-performance vehicle is the centerline indicator on the steering wheel, so you can make sure that when you're making those high-speed hairpin turns that you recenter the vehicle, which of course is very, very important when you're driving a huge truck like this. Yeah, I wonder what it would be like to have one of these on a track. I mean, the center of gravity, of course, is very high. Another difference, by the way, of course, between this and driving the electrics, which obviously by their very nature, with the batteries mounted low, give you a certain stability and feeling that these could never give you. Traffic's clearing up a bit. really, really, really holds the gear when you are in sport mode. It's got a 7,000 RPM red line, and I think taking this truck at 7,000 RPM in any of the gears would be quite a dramatic experience. One which frankly I'm not eager to test. Certainly these are not the roads on which to test it, but again, it just gives you an idea of the reserves of power. That's something which is quintessentially American. To have a vehicle that can putter around at 20 to 30 to 40 miles per hour, in this case 40 miles per hour, 1400 RPM, lazy as could be. Just give it a little throttle and it immediately responds, even down at the 2000 RPM level. Very satisfying and very effective, quite frankly. It's got the usual large display screen. It tells me what my average fuel economy is, and so far, again, this is a truck with only 67 miles on it from new. The average fuel economy is 4.9 miles to the gallon. Obviously that will improve with some highway driving. And it tells you everything you need to know. Got 144 miles to empty. The other advantage that this vehicle has, which interestingly enough we also sampled in the Porsche 911 Dakar, is that sidewalls of a certain size, the tire design of a certain size, certain type of suspension in terms of its travel and rebound, and the seats give you amazing comfort over fairly roughish roads that we have here in Rhode Island. And I've never quite understood the entire rush to the SUV and the crossover, but if that aspect of off-roading and sort of truck design culture can be put into more cars, I think we'd have cars that are frankly more usable. We don't really need high-performance cars and super skinny banana tires and rock-hard suspensions, because ultimately it's not satisfying as a passenger or as a driver. And with a setup like this Raptor R has, or the Porsche 911 Dakar, you actually get more comfort and security in all sorts of driving conditions, something that I think we should reconsider, quite frankly. So if any of the heads of car companies are listening and watching, and I know you all are, why don't you just take this little bit of advice from the Audrain, because this is a way to get more people happier in your seats. The Velociraptor is a notoriously dangerous, cunning, and crafty animal. This Ford Raptor R probably has all those characteristics, but it's also stealthy, and I really like that. If you didn't see those big graphics on the side, you would have no idea what was about to attack. My kind of truck.